So, as announced last night on AEW Dynamite, Saraya has officially been 100% cleared to return to in-ring action, and she will be fighting Britt Baker at AEW Full Gear on November 19th at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. Now, there was a little bit of a pressing topic surrounding her return. I wanted to kind of hand it over to Mo to kind of elaborate on what's going on and what's the pressing issue.
Oh yes. While everyone is excited for this match at Full Gear with Britt Baker and Paige, there was a bit of a scuffle with the internet
Mm,
regarding Paige coming back, seeming that she was out obviously due to her neck injury, and there was a tweet that was actually going around, tweeted by Russell Cringe, and the following tweet has said, Saraya, I may botch her name, retired from the same injury Edge had. Funny how I never heard people questioning her clearance because that's what the
mm,
internet was concerned about. Everyone
mm,
was saying that she's going to risk her neck. This is going to be her last match. Why would she risk coming back to AEW of all places? And people were basically trying to make this into a misogyny angle. Now,
mm,
I'm not sure how your take is on this, Jordan, but me personally, I don't have an issue with Paige coming back at all. But I think the
mhm,
reason why, from me sitting watching a fan and watching the product with AEW, I feel like the reason why people are upset with Paige coming back is that when it comes to the women, I'm not saying that the female wrestlers in AEW are bad, but they have a history of being very, very reckless, very reckless. And
mhm,
we've seen wrestlers that are very stiff. We've seen wrestlers that are very green, that we know are very green. And I feel like in that environment, she is putting herself at a higher risk.
mm,
Whereas in WWE, I wouldn't say for the most part they're more seasoned. At least they have a performance center over there. So for the most part, people know their basics over there. It's not too common that we hear that the female wrestlers really get injured all so much in WWE as opposed to AEW. And that's where I'm sitting from, seeing that people are shaming Paige for coming back and wrestling in AEW, especially with someone
mm.
that's still viewed as very green and quote unquote mid as Britt Baker. And now, in regards to someone, to comparing it to someone like Edge coming back, I honestly feel like again, more injuries happened in AEW, and when I saw Edge coming back for his return, I felt like when I read through his contract and the amount of matches he was doing and the pacing that he was going in, I felt like it was very calculated on him coming back. And so I didn't really foresee him putting himself in situations or putting himself in matches that would have otherwise risked his neck. And I don't think we have seen him really
Mm,
do a match that was really over the top. Even his
mm.
match he had with Randy Orton, it was very slow. Like that match was in slow motion the entire 45 minutes. You could
Yeah.
tell they were handling Edge's neck with gloves. So I feel as though if Pat Page came back to WWE, I don't think people would have felt that the same way, but they're strictly just feeling that way because she's in AEW. But they're trying to make it into a misogyny angle. I was going to
Mm.
ask, what's your opinion, Jordan? Do you think that they're saying this because she's a female coming back, or are they genuinely concerned about Paige and her neck in the environment that she's in?
I think that it's a little bit of both. I think that two things can be true at the same time. Obviously, um, wrestling is still very much a male dominated industry with a fan base that is male dominated, and because of that, a lot of the public opinion is going to be from that angle and from that view. um so I think that it is a little bit of misogyny, but I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. We literally just went through a summer in AEW where their star power was gutted because of how many injuries were sustained, and it greatly affected their product as it pertains to the buildup and the promotion and the production of Forbidden Door, which is the collaboration pay per view of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we've seen guys like Daniel Bryan get injured, who has had a neck injury. We've seen guys like CM Punk get injured, who was coming back after being away from wrestling for nearly a decade. We've seen guys like Adam Cole going to go a concussion. We've seen Matt Hardy took the nastiest fall, not during last year, but just in AEW in general. So we've seen a track record of some pretty reckless things happening in AEW that probably would not have happened in WWE because they're so cautious and they ban moves and they ban certain things that are going on. So I think that it definitely, while I think that there's a little bit of misogyny in there because it's wrestling, I think that at the same time there is a little bit of concern because there are things that are being done in AEW that are there are things that are allowed in AEW that are not allowed in WWE, which thus affect the well-being of the wrestlers. So that's just kind of my take on it.
Mhm.
However, I am very, very excited to see Saraya return and wrestle. And I'm pretty sure that if she's taking this step, that she has gone through all the necessary practices and procedures to make sure that, you know, she is 100% prepared to do everything that she wants to do in an AEW ring. So that's just my opinion on it.
Do you think she's going to attempt to prove the marks wrong and try to do a few things that are risque or over the top in her match with Britt coming up?
I think so. But I don't think that she wants to do it to prove the marks wrong. I think she wants to prove something to herself because I think that ultimately, when
Hmm.
you step
I
away,
like
number
that.
one, Saraya has had a very, very unique personal and professional history. Like Soraya's, I kind of see Saraya, even though she is a grown woman, she kind of has seen this trajectory that is similar to a former Disney star with everything that she's had to publicly endure and experience from her, the issues with drugs, her battling her drug addiction, and of course we can't forget about the whole her and Alberto Del Rio relationship, and in addition to her injuries and the tape, we don't got to go into that, but
Mhm.
like she's endured a lot. And because of that, I think that when she comes to an environment like AEW that promotes a creative wrestling environment in which wrestlers can kind of take control over their own fate and their own destiny, she's going to want to take risks because I feel like part of her just wants to say, hey guys, regardless of everything that's been happening for the better part of a decade, what seems like, I'm still a professional wrestler and I'm still just as capable and as competent as I was when, I first started this, and this is something that I love. So I think she is going to try some risky things. However, I don't think that it's Mark centric as much as it is her centric, because when you're away from the ring from that long and you've endured as much as she has, you're going to be looking to prove a point to yourself more than anybody. So what about you?
Well said. Well said. Um, I feel like Paige is, I mean, yes, she's older, but I feel like the Paige that I remember, she's kind of a bit of a wild child and she's a little
Mm,
petty. Let's be honest, she's a little bit petty. So I do feel like knowing her that she probably is going to do both. She's gonna prove
mm-hmm.
it to herself, but I do feel like she's gonna pull out some spots that is probably gonna shock us, probably gonna have us, ranting and raging all over the internet saying, "What is this woman doing? Does she care about her neck? Whatever." I feel like
Right.
she's gonna do all that stuff on purpose just to show her, "Hey, my doctor cleared me to do whatever the fuck I want." I'm not sure if you noticed, but she posted on her Twitter page even like a picture of the letter that her doctor gave her, saying that she has no restrictions from wrestling,
I
no
didn't even see that.
restrictions, and she's well, yeah, it's on her page, and she said she's gonna frame it. So I'm like, huh. When I saw, it, I'm like, she's definitely gonna pull out some things that we haven't seen before. Because again, Paige has wrestled all different types of matches. I mean, she's been wrestling all
Mm,
her life, basically in the business all her life. I
yeah.
feel like she's gonna come in with a bang on purpose. She has left this anticipation up for long enough. I don't expect a safe match out of her, especially with her age. She's still young. She's still
Mm,
fresh. I feel like she's been training and plotting for this for a while. So
mm-hmm.
I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm actually just a hair. The MJF match against Mox, and this is like neck and neck for my level of excitement. And
Mm.
I'm not even that big of a Page man, but I know she's going to deliver. That match is actually going to deliver. It's probably going to be Britt's best match. I'm going to call it right now, right here in the podcast. That's going to be Britt's best match. Yep.
Period.
Yep.
I
Period.
I just looked it up.
Period.
Saraya is 30. I feel it's Saraya. Saraya is 30 years old. So she
Yeah.
is still young. And I agree
Hmm.
with you. And to be honest, I can see why they were like putting the champion around Paige and Saraya and like all the other girls around them. Because to be honest, I mean not Paige, S- Saraya and Britt Baker are AEW's two biggest women stars. And so if you want to increase the exposure of your product and of your women, you're going to put them around the two most popular people. So the fact that you just kind of like said, like, this match is like neck and neck with the MJF, I think that that's a very, very similar mindset to a lot of the people that are going to be watching this show. And hence why you put your women around them, because they are the most visible and they are the most popular. But
Absolutely.
but moving on